Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 65 of Estate Planning TV. I'm your host, Christopher Small, and this is the internet. I'm the owner of CMS Law Firm. We do estate planning, we do probate, and we are really, really good at it. And this is the internet's most passionate show about estate planning. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I'm super excited. I'm actually I'm interestingly excited to talk about today's topic because it's sort of like a current event. It's something that's going on right now. It is some new estate tax legislation that has been proposed by Senator Bernie Sanders. And as you might expect, it's called the 99.8% Act, and it is trying to raise estate taxes on the wealthy. How much estate taxes are trying to be raised? We're about to find out. What I will say though, before we even get going, before you get too freaked out and call me and want me to help you, call me anyway if you really have questions. This is just proposed legislation because the Senate is controlled by Republicans at this point. It's not likely that this legislation is going to pass. However, it is sort of a good insight, a good preview of what the Democratic controlled Congress might present in the future. So it's something to think about. It's also just a reminder that, while it seems like estate planning is relatively static, things are changing and things are being updated from time to time, and it's important to just be aware of these changes so that if a change happens that affects you, you can fix it, right? You can adjust, you can change, and you can do the things that need to be done to get to where you need to go. All right. So what is the 99.8% Act and what does it do? It basically lowers the estate tax threshold significantly, raises the estate tax rate when you get over the limit, and it also does something interesting with generation skipping taxes. So let's just dive right through those real quick, and then we'll be done for the day. You'll have your new nugget of knowledge that you can use at the water cooler. You can use with your financial advisor. You can use it with your estate planning attorney if you want. You can use it with whomever you want, but it's going to be good. So first things first, if you recall, right now in 2019, as I speak, the federal estate tax, and by the way, this is only related to federal estate taxes, not the Washington state estate tax. The Washington state estate tax right now still hovers around $2.5 million. It's really 2.4 and some change. And there's no portability, which means you cannot give your exemption to your spouse. Okay, there are some things that you can do to double that number if you are married, but you need to call me to talk about them. Okay, credit shelter trust, AB trust. Those are some terms you can Google if you want to learn a little bit more about how that's done. What we are talking about is the federal estate tax rules. Okay, right now, everybody is at $11.2 million. If you are married, you are essentially at $22.4 million because when the first spouse dies, all the surviving spouse needs to do to carry over that $11.2 million is check a box. So for all intents and purposes, if you are married, you're at $22.4 million. If you are not married, you are at $11.2 million. That is a significant amount. What the 99.8% Act is proposing to do is to reduce that limit to $3.5 million, which means if you're married, you would be at $7 million. Everything over that would then be taxed at 40%, okay, up to $50 million. Okay, so if you had $8 million in assets when the surviving spouse died, then you would be paying a whopping $400,000 of estate taxes. That's a lot. Okay. Once you get from $50 million to $1 billion, you're paying 55%. Okay, so we've raised it significantly. If you go over $1 billion in assets, which I know most of you right now are sort of scared and worried about and thinking about what's going to happen to everything over your $1 billion in assets, then that tax rate jumps up to 77%. So that's significant. So if you have $2 billion, you're going to be paying on that on the extra billion, $770 million in taxes. Not cool. Well, I mean, cool or not cool, I guess. Not cool if it's my money. If it's everybody else's money, who knows? If it's your money and you want to pay it, that's great. If you don't, then you should probably work on that with someone like me. But anyway, those are the new proposed rules. So it significantly lowers the estate tax threshold. It significantly raises the estate tax, the percentage of the amount of the actual tax. And then there's one other interesting little caveat, one little interesting wrinkle, and that is that this legislation proposes to reduce the generation skipping tax exemption to 50 years. Right now, it is perpetual. It lasts forever. What the generation skipping tax exemption does is, if you are, let's say me, I have grandkids, I can give right now basically up to the estate tax exemption amount directly from myself to my grandkids, so I can skip a generation, the generation skipping tax exemption. I can skip a generation, I can put that in a trust, and it can basically go forever without having to pay any taxes. And while this doesn't seem like a big deal, if you have the financial wherewithal and do the planning properly to let that money sit in that trust for long enough, it gets pretty big pretty fast, and it can last forever, and it can help generations forever. That money can be reinvested, and you can do all kinds of other things with it to make that money really big over a relatively short amount of time. So what this legislation does is proposes to reduce that exemption to 50 years. So once 50 years have passed, then on the subsequent transfer to the next generation, then you're going to be back into these estate tax exemption amounts again. Okay, that's it. Basically, this is sort of your estate planning minute. This is newly proposed legislation from Senator Bernie Sanders. Like I said, I don't think it's likely to pass, but it's a good indication of where he's coming from, at least in his thinking about estate taxes. And is also just a reminder that estate tax planning is fluid. You know, it moves with your family as your family changes and grows and things happen, but it also grows as the law changes and sort of iterates and moves and shifts. All right, so that is it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below this video if that's possible. You can always email me, chris@cmslawfirm.com. You can always call me and set up a meeting if you want, 206-659-1512. You can Google me. You can send me a letter. Do whatever you want. I would love to talk to you. Okay? That is it. Have a great day, great week. To sort of make this timely and to freeze it in a bad way, or it doesn't matter. It's sunny outside today. It's really nice, like 75 degrees. So I'm going to go out and enjoy the sun. All right? That is it. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll talk to you again next week. Bye.